Hello, folks. If I look flustered, it's because I am. Um, just got finished moving. Sorry, I'm late. Just finished moving a fridge, and if you find me out of breath, that is why. I am. Okay, so I think we're ready. Deanna, as she told me, is her name. It's pronounced that way, not the way I was doing it this morning. So I apologize. I screwed that up royally, as well as the time. But it worked out because I got one more person squeezed into the schedule. So God worked that one out. I didn't have to worry about it. So without further ado, we're gonna bring on Deanna. Hello.
Hi guys. Hey
Um,
Marlon.
how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good, good. So Deanna Johnson, everyone, and she'll be here to do her segment of her story. So without any delay, I'm going to leave you on the screen for a bit by yourself. Have fun with it. Just give a short rundown, maybe 2 minutes at most, and give a short synopsis of what you've been through and all that stuff and who you are, and then I'll come back on.
Okay. Hey guys, my name is Deanna Johnson. I live here in Eastern North Carolina near the coast. I am 49 years old. I'm the mother of three. I have a daughter who's 26 years old from my first marriage. And my current husband and I have been together for 9 years now. We just celebrated our ninth anniversary. And we have two boys who are adopted. They're full blooded siblings. They are ages 6 and 7. It's very lively and loud around our house, which is why I'm sitting outside. um, my story is pretty complex. I come from a strong line of very strong women. We take care of the children in our family. Um, my mother adopted a child in our family on my dad's side whenever they were, actually, she was the same age that I was whenever I adopted my boys, my first child, my oldest son. At age 40, she adopted my younger brother, and he's 20 years younger than me. And in 2003, my father passed away at age 54 from lung cancer. And in 2013, 3 days after my wedding, my older brother had given me away, and he passed away of a massive heart attack while out running. Um, I went through a miscarriage shortly after that, and was very depressed, very down and out, but I always knew God had a plan for me. I just didn't know what it was. And about a year after my miscarriage and a year after losing my brother, this baby boy was born into our family, and he needed help, and we needed something, didn't know what we needed. And God worked it out. So we became his parents. And less than a year later, there was another baby born, his full blooded sibling. And we didn't get him until he was 3 years old, but we've had him now for about 3 years, and we're working on adopting him. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now, raising kids.
Sweet. Um, all right. So I took some notes because you have a lot of bullet
I
points.
do. It's complex.
And I think I'm going to work from bottom to top
Okay.
of the point. So we're going to work our way back to the beginning of your story. Um, Depression. Um, what kind of a role did that play in your relationship with your husband, if you had him at the time when you went through the depression? Um, and what were the what effects did that have on your life? How bad did it get?
Um, it was pretty bad. He wasn't with me when my father passed away, but of course we had just gotten married when my brother passed away. And I often tell people it's hard to describe because it was one of the times of my life and one of the saddest times of my life. And every year when that anniversary rolls around, I still feel both a great amount of happiness and a great amount of sadness. And in fact, yesterday would have been my brother's 53rd birthday. Um, and those anniversaries roll around, and you sink in a little bit, and you feel a little bit hurt, but then you remember all the things that you have to live for and all the joy in your life. And I'm very grateful for that. But the depression was it was pretty rough for a while there for me. But my husband he was by my side and by my mother's side through all of it. He was the rock for us, and I thank God for that. But but we got through it. I mean, I bounced back pretty quickly from most anything. One thing about it is I've been knocked down a lot, but I always get back up. Um,
Okay.
I've always been like that. And
Um,
so we had a rough patch, and then we had he didn't have any biological children. Um, he had never been married before. So we got pregnant, and I had a miscarriage. And again, there was a lot of depression there for a few months. But when my oldest son was born, the day he was born, and I found out the situation, it was actually Thanksgiving Day, and we were at my grandmother. We still gather at my grandmother's house, who is 90 years old, for every holiday, every major holiday. And I have a huge family. And we were there, and we got the phone call that this baby had been born, and the parents were addicts. My first cousin and his girlfriend are the biological parents. And I don't know, something in me, I just knew that we needed to go meet this baby and find out a way to help him. And my aunt happened to be at the hospital whenever social services came in and they were going to take him out of the situation, out of the hospital. Um, and she took him home with her for a couple of days. And I kept telling my husband, I was like, we need to go over and meet this baby. And so we went over and we instantly fell in love with him. And when we left there, he looked at me and he said, what are we going to do about this baby? And I said, what do you mean? What are we going to do? We're going to get him. We're going to get him and we're going to raise him. And we never looked back. It was never really a huge conversation after that. It was just, we knew what we were going to do. And we contacted social service and got the ball rolling. And they came in and inspected our home. And we were kind of like foster parents because he was actually in the care of social services, even though my aunt was technically fostering him. And he had been born with a lot of drugs in his system. He was not an easy baby. Was still can be difficult at times, but definitely the first couple of years were rough. Um, but we just got the
you
ball rolling,
persevered.
and yeah,
So
that's kind
your
of how we roll around here.
your current husband, the being that you've been with him for 9 years.
Yes.
Um, you got divorced before? Uh, she disappeared. Oh no, the divorce question kicked her off. Let's see if she comes back in. I'm going to wait for her a minute. We're going to be getting into some deep waters here in a minute here, so I have no doubt that the devil don't want this next step here. No doubt about that. Why you leave, man? I was just asking a simple question.
I don't know what happened.
You don't got to run. I'm going to be gentle. No, I'm just kidding.
So
So
you
you were
said you're
divorced
asking about
before?
my divorce? Yes, I
Yes.
married very young. I married my one of my older brother's best friends. We snuck around together whenever I was pretty young. I was in high school, kind of a wild one. Um, and when we finally did get caught seeing each other, my parents said that they loved him because he had been a part of my brother's life and their life for years. So they accepted the fact that we were together. But I was too young. We went off to college together, lived together. I got pregnant. Um, Once we had been married about 3 years, I guess I was just really miserable. I found out we had nothing in common.
This happened, as people know, this happened on the very first interview as well. Um, I have my own thoughts about why, but I'll leave that for after.
Marlon, I just lost you again. I don't know what happened.
I,
It
I
just
have a
keep
suspicion I know why, but
okay.
we'll get to that hopefully if it makes it this far. So go ahead. College,
Okay.
miserable, go.
Yeah, college miserable. Ended up it was me. I told him that, I was not in love. And that's a really hard thing to do, is look at someone who loves you and tell them that you're not in love. But I didn't know what I wanted. I was so young, and I was a young mother, and um we ended up divorcing. My daughter was 3, maybe 4 years old by the time we divorced. And I was a single mom for many, many years. I dated some, but for the most part, I, gosh knows, I was
How
just
was
doing
your
my own
walk at that
thing, work.
time? Hmm. So I'm going to give you my breakdown of why. This is going to get very deep if it lets her stay on. I'm telling you, it's going to get deep. Okay?
Who does
The
Facebook
next,
hate, me or you?
no, it's neither one. I anticipated another couple of times before we get to bottom where we're going. Okay.
Okay.
Well, how was your walk at that time?
It's hard to raise a kid by yourself. Her father was really resentful of me, and so was his. He later remarried, and there was a lot of resentment towards me from his whole side, the whole side of his family. I guess I hurt everyone, and it was rough. I mean, I tried my best to make it an amicable situation where we could communicate, since we were supposed to be raising a daughter together, but it was hard at times. It was really hard.
The next question is what's going to be. Okay, the next question. It's so interesting. So interesting.
Are you seeing whenever I'm losing you here? Are you seeing me cut out? Okay.
Okay. So your walk with God, how was that though?
Touch and go. I did raise her in a church. I didn't necessarily live by the word of God, but we were in church, and I've always had
a foot in the door.
I've always had a foot in the door, but probably my spiritual relationship with him now is stronger than it's ever been. And my daughter is a very spiritual young adult.
How is her relationship with her dad?
Much better now that she's older. They made peace with things a few years ago. Thankfully.
I'm going to suggest something to her in a minute when she gets back on, so she'll leave again, do that, and come back on. Because I know one of the things that's happening, but I know the other thing too is a spiritual thing. So here's what we'll try. Okay, here's what we'll try. How far away are you from your router?
I have to go in my house and upstairs. But
I can do it. That's the first. That's the first
might be loud while I'm going through.
That's okay. And then if you have any open applications, close them all before we. So go ahead and you can leave the studio, get inside, and then join again, and close the apps and then enter.
Okay. Be right back.
So what we're going to do is that we're going to have a discussion. Her story is going to go someplace here, and that's just what I'm feeling it. It's not like I'm a spiritual. No, there is something underneath that she's not willing to address yet, and I don't think the devil wants her to address it. I don't think he wants her to address it, and it might be pretty big. No guarantees that she will address it, but I have a suspicion that he wants her not to address it. And I think it has a lot to do with her decisions between marriages and her walk and where she thinks she is now. So it'll be a good test to see how much fight the human has in it to not come forward with something that might be roiling underneath. A lot of us feel more inclined to leave things as is because it's comfortable. Don't go back into anything. So we shall see. There you go. All right, let's see what happens.
Hopefully you won't hear my kids screaming. They're in the room next door.
That's fine. Kids screaming is a good thing. except when it's on my side. I don't need them screaming on my side. Your
Right.
side is fine. Yeah. The divorces. How many did you have? Just one?
I had two. No, I
Two.
had two. I married again. Let's see, I had probably been divorced 7 or 8 years. Um, when I met a guy and we fell in love and had a lot of fun together, and he was really good with my daughter. And I think that's what attracted me to him the most. He was so good with my daughter, and he was filling a void for her. Um, he was there for every game. He was there to do homework. He was there to help cook dinner. He was just there. And but he had a problem with alcohol. And when I say a problem, I mean it was a big.
Told you. I told you. I told you. Problem with alcohol. I'm going to tell you what I believe. I'm going to tell you what I believe.
What?
I believe there's something that's going to have to come out in this interview that the devil does not want to come out.
Possibly.
Something that you've not addressed, and he does not want it addressed.
I don't know.
So it's ironic. It's ironic that would be happening as often as it's happening. Is why I'm saying that. Yeah. I'll give it a couple more. Then we're going to try it by messenger. We'll try one more option after this, okay? We'll try messenger. Okay? I'll call you on messenger. They'll still see you. And I'll have you on the screen, but you'll see a different, you see all my mess behind me. So they won't, but you will.
Okay, I'll wait.
If it cuts out again. How bad did the alcohol start to affect? Yeah, so we're gonna do that. Let's do that. I'm gonna call her on messenger. I can't let it go. I cannot let it go. I'm gonna try and open this up on. You guys understand where this is going, right? Hopefully you understand where this is going. Hopefully you understand. Hang on, Deanna. I'll be right with you. You guys should be able to see where this is going. When people have a desire to share something that the devil don't want shared, he gonna find every reason to not get it shared. And that's exactly what you see happening here right now. Not gonna lie to you. That's exactly what's happening. All right, can you see me now? Okay, let me bring up the window. I'm gonna share it so people can see you and hear you too. All right. There we go. You guys don't see two of me, but just ignore that, okay, guys? All right, speak to me if I can hear you. And you guys tell me if you can hear her. Go ahead. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can now. Well.
How about now?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me now?
I can.
Okay, good. All right, so I have to keep this over that window, otherwise it goes away. That's kind of weird. Anyway, all right, so can you guys hear her? I'm going to make sure the audience can hear her and hear you. So say something again so they can hear.
Hey, guys.
All right, good. All right, I figured it out. I'm sorry that you have two of me on the screen and only one of her, but the way it's got to be. Okay, alcoholism and divorce. Did you initiate the divorce?
No, oddly enough, I didn't. We had uh, we had been having quite a few falling outs over the drinking. He was coming home from work already drunk on a truck that I had paid for and was in my name, and I was just furious about the drinking and driving. I mean, there was just I was furious about the alcohol, but the drinking and driving really upset me. And just out of nowhere, one Saturday morning, I was getting ready for work, and he came into the bathroom where I was at, and he said, "You know what? I'm leaving today. I've already called my parents, and they're coming to help move my stuff," which I thought was odd because everything was mine, literally everything. Um, and I mean, it really floored me. It really floored me, and it upset me. And I went on to work that morning, but I was just falling apart the whole day, and um, I ended up coming home early, and his stuff was gone. And then a few days later, I went to spend a weekend with one of my girlfriends. And when I came home, my house had been vandalized. Um, there was glass broken all in my home. Um, a couple of weeks after that, my dogs were killed in my yard on a day when I was home. Didn't see anything, but somebody poisoned them. Um, it was a rough patch. It was a really rough patch, and I just I had lost my job that I had for 14 years. I had worked in a desk job for 14 years, and had lost that job. Had just recently switched jobs, and it that was a rough patch. My daughter was about to enter high school at this time, and I thought to myself, how are we going to make it? I didn't know how we were going to make it. Um, there were times when we didn't have uh, we didn't have power. I'd have to take her. We didn't have gas, and I'd have to take her to a friend's house so she could get a hot shower, and I'd get a cold shower in the morning before we went to work. I went to work, but I always knew, I'd come out of it. Where there's a will, there's a way,
Um,
and we made it. And I think we ended up moving back in with my mom um,
did that
during this
experience
time.
did that experience mirror in your mind your first husband? Have you ever made that correlation?
Not really, no. Um,
Do you know what I
my
mean,
first
though?
husband, sort of, kind of, how, yeah. I mean, he left me. I left the first one. I mean, yeah. I mean, it was just
Have you spoken to your first husband about his emotional state? Because you had said that you know that you hurt him and you hurt his family and stuff like that. Um, they said the volume is low. Let me see if I can fix the volume. Hang on. Uh, I can't fix the volume. Sorry,
is it
guys.
low on your end or my end?
They said you're in.
Okay,
So
I'll try to speak up.
yeah, I don't know if I can fix the volume, guys. I'm trying to, but let's find this out. All right, let's see if that helped. I don't know if it will. All right, if it doesn't, I'm sorry. We have to work at what we got. Um, so, have you ever spoken to your first husband about his? I know that you guys were divorced and all that stuff, so it's kind of difficult. But how much conversation have you had with him about where he was emotionally after that statement of "I don't love you anymore"?
Um, no, not really. I mean, the day that we signed the divorce papers, he asked me was if I was sure that was what I wanted to do, and I said yes, and kind of said it in a heartless manner. Um, I felt guilty, but I knew that if I gave him 1 ounce of hope, that I didn't want to hurt him anymore. Put it that way. that was my excuses. I didn't want to hurt him anymore. But no, we never really talked about it because he moved on, got remarried. And we get along fine now. We really do. We get along. We see each other now. He's got a daughter who is with his other wife who is, gosh, I think she's like 14, maybe 15 years old. She went out on a boat with us last year with my daughter, and they were down here vacationing at the beach, and um, my daughter went and or texted her dad and asked, can Caroline come out on a boat with us? And he met us at the dock and dropped her off, and we spent the day with his daughter. Um, yeah, we
But
try to keep
you've
in.
never targeted directly that emotion though. You've never talked to him about.
No, mm-mm,
Um,
no,
you
I
ever
never
took?
did.
Have you
I
ever
think I was
taken
so
that?
young and immature that.
Yeah. But you've never taken that relationship to um, that particular situation in direct manner to God. Have you ever? Did you ever do that?
I did. I did because I carried a lot of guilt over it for a long time, a long time. But in the same sense, I caught a lot of crap over it too.
Hmm.
A lot of crap from uh, different people.
Warranted in your mind or not?
Some of it yes, some of it no. His mother had a lot to say about me to my daughter when she was around, and that was a problem. Um, and that went on for years throughout my daughter's whole childhood. And just recently, in the last 5 years, has his mother actually apologized to me and told me that she was in the wrong for that she was resentful because I hurt her baby boy. And I understand that. Um, I always thought the world of his parents, and I always wanted nothing but happiness for him. And I told him that, and I just want you to be happy, and it's not going to be with me.
So
Um,
your current husband, and you say you have two adopted kids,
yep. One's
blood
about and
siblings.
one's in the process. Yep.
Right. Um, they're young, right? You said 7 or 8, right?
6 and 7.
Yeah. Um, how are how is their relationship with their dad?
With my husband,
Hmm.
oh, they have a good relationship with their dad. Really good. He's in the next room with them right now gaming.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and how is the current marriage? Everything.
Everything's good. Yeah, we have a really good relationship. I mean, we have our ups and downs like every couple, but we own a business together. And for years we worked side by side together. Now I work with my daughter in her business, and he does his own thing. He owns a kitchen and bath remodeling company. Well, actually, we both own it, but he does all the work now. Um, but yeah, I mean, we have a really good relationship. We have our moments, but he's the one.
Um,
Oddly enough, I dated him right probably about a year after my first husband and I divorced. I met my current husband um, here at the beach. I was down here visiting. I didn't live here at the time, but I was down here visiting, and I met him out one night. I was with some girlfriends. He was with some guy friends, and we spent a summer kind of seeing each other off and on when I would come down here and visit. When my daughter would have weekends with her dad, I would come down. We would spend weekends together. But when the summer ended, I quit coming. We quit seeing each other, and we never talked to each other again for I guess it was maybe 15 years or so. And we started communicating on Facebook. And one of the first questions he asked me when we started communicating was, "Are you married?" Because he noticed my last name had changed. And I said, "No, matter of fact, I'm divorced, been divorced for a couple of years." And he asked me out on a date, and that's how she wrote. We've been together since.
um, so this one, I'm if like I said, I know you said you're an open book. Um, but the next few questions are gonna be up to you whether or not you feel like answering them or not. I want to put that out there. Do you think that you took divorce as a passive thing to take place, and it was just another option on the table?
Hmm.
Do you
Absolutely.
think that has always been something that you viewed it as, or is it something that became that way because of
It was
situations?
Definitely not now. And even after my first divorce, my view on it started to change. I thought, wow, I really took the easy way out on that one. Um, dodged that bullet. I was so young, Marlon. I was so, and that's not an excuse, but um, I didn't. It was during a time, divorce is so common now, and so many people just do it and don't think anything about the consequences, about how it's going to affect your children or um, your future marriages. So, yes, I took it very lightly back then. But by the time my second marriage, I really thought, well, this is it. We'll be together for life. But the drinking just kept getting so much worse. And I don't know if maybe marriage was not his thing and he was drinking more because he was under stress. I don't know. But the drinking it became a big issue for me. And
And obviously, it was a
that
bigger
divorce,
issue for him because he was the one that left.
yeah, um, that divorce that was a rough one. That one taught me a lesson. um, I it was just it was really hard. That was a really hard one. I felt like my life was crumbling around. I was embarrassed. I was really embarrassed. Um, and when I called my older brother, when I was getting married the third time, when I called my other brother and told him that, I wanted him to walk me down the aisle, he said, "Oh, I hope this is your last time getting married." I said, "Well, I hope so too." So, um, but yeah, I took it lightly back then. Now, not so much. I'm here
Do you view
uh,
divorce from
to stay.
do you think you're viewing human divorce from a human aspect and not from the aspect that he views it, that God views it? Are you currently viewing it more from a standpoint of I don't want another divorce versus he doesn't want divorce? God, I
No,
mean.
I definitely view it more from his point now than my own, for
Hmm.
sure, for sure. I took
Uh,
it way too lightly. But again, being young is not an excuse, but it's the excuse that I use. I
right.
was just young and stupid.
So, in the interim, and this is the second question that might be a little too, if it is, just let me know. Um,
Okay.
you had said that your walk was off and on in between divorce and stuff. Was there a point in there during that? I call it a rebellious stage because it really is what it is because you're not
Mm,
fully committed to God, and once you're not fully committed, you're rebelling.
right.
Um, did you put yourself in the realm of I'll do whatever I want, including promiscuity and all that stuff, while you were in between marriages and at all between
Oh
each
yeah.
one
I
of
mean,
them?
well, I I dated. Um, Typically, I would date one person for. I mean, in between my divorces, for a year or two, or sometimes 3 or 4 years at a time before. It was weird because I would date them knowing I wasn't going to marry them, but I would stay with them. I don't know. I kind of just felt like I always needed somebody there. Um, and I didn't like being single. Um,
It was a
kind of
crutch.
it was, I guess. I'm not, I dated some good guys. I really did. But, um,
So when you say
never,
dated,
when I divorced the second time, I really never thought I would marry again. I was like, okay, I cannot keep a marriage together, and this is just not in the books for me. So
what do you
I
mean by
was,
date? What did you mean by date? Is it like you were with
I would
somebody
be in
and
a
you
committed,
behaved like you were
yeah,
married? You behaved like you were
yeah,
married?
yeah. Well, I didn't live with them, but I would be in a committed relationship. I can think of one person in particular for 4 years. We were he lived in his house. I lived in my house. We both had children the same age, and uh, on weekends we would go out. If it was the weekend, we had the kids on the same weekend. If we had the kids, we would do things with the children. Go to a fair, go to the movies, go to the lake, go do something. Um, but
But no
um,
consummation.
oh well, yeah. I mean, yeah,
So that's what you mean by
for sure.
dating. That's what you meant by dating.
Yeah, yeah. I
Um,
wasn't.
Was
I
that the
wasn't.
case with your current husband too?
Was that the case with him?
Yeah, like when you guys were dating before marriage, was that a part of the dating before marriage?
Yeah. Yes.
And would you have considered that your walk with God was still wavering before marriage then?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
For sure.
Um,
I think my walk with God really started when I lost my brother. It really, actually, I take that back. It started when I lost my dad, because once you've been in the room with someone dying,
it's different.
you you see and feel things
Mhm.
that you wouldn't believe if you weren't there to see them
Right.
with your own two eyes. And then with my brother, we had to unplug him from. I was there with my dad when he took his dying breath, and the last thing he did, his eyes had been set for a couple of days, and he had not been responding to anything. And the last thing he did, we read the Bible to him, as we knew he was fading away. Some of his favorite verses, and like I said, he had not moved at all, had not opened his eyes or anything. And um, just as he was about to take his last breath, I said something to him. I don't remember. I said, "It's okay, Dad. Let go home," or something. And when I did that, he turned his. I was on this side of the bed, and he turned his head and opened his eye, and a tear rolled down his face, and he was gone. He was gone. And that's it. Just I don't know. It's something in me changed that day, but not enough.
Yeah.
Um, but when my brother passed away, we had to unplug him from life support a few days after my wedding. And again, the same situation when you're in the room with somebody when they're passing away. There's just a different feel in the room. There's just you feel you feel the presence of God. You you feel their spirit moving out of their body. I mean, it's a unique experience, not one I recommend everyone.
No, it's
Not for everybody for sure, but it's definitely changed me that day.
I was in the room with my grandfather-in-law when he passed. And we were singing the whole time, and he was trying to. His favorite thing to do was sing and play guitar.
Wow.
And we were trying, but he couldn't breathe properly at that time, and he was just pretty much just laying there waiting. But the last 5, 6 minutes or so, he was trying his best to get something, anything out, and it just came out as heavy, labored breathing. And before the end of it, we literally could feel the room vacate of who he was. It's like the room just, just before he left.
Yeah.
The feeling I got from it and the emotional state that it left me in was partially happy that he was gone, no more pain, because I knew where he was going. But the sorrow was, it almost felt eternal. Like I didn't think that was ever going to leave. And I wasn't even blood to him, right? But he, he borrowed himself inside of who I was.
Right.
Kind of like you do with adopted kids. They're yours. They're not somebody else's. They're your children.
They're my.
You the you say your walk now is good. Is it great or is it just good?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it's
No, I wonder.
a lot
I'm just.
better.
Is it? Is
A
it
lot
great?
better. A lot better than it used to be.
Okay.
A lot
Um,
better.
did you
I've come to God with everything,
did you ever take
literally everything.
did you ever take the years of um, dating life to him?
I have.
And what was the? I know he gives responses. What was his response there?
I I felt like for the last couple of years that when I talked to him about my past, and when I talked to him about things that I hope he's forgiven me for. And I know that they say that, when you ask for forgiveness one time, that's it, forget it, you've been forgiven, accept the forgiveness and move on. But I have a hard time doing that. I've always had a hard time doing that. And so I tend to ask God for forgiveness for things that I've already asked him for forgiveness for. And
Do you know why?
I have a harder time accepting his forgiveness, even though I know I have it. I
Why
don't
is
know
that?
why. I don't know.
Have you ever
I don't
sat
know.
and thought
I
about
have a
why?
hard time accepting compliments too. So I don't know. It's just something in nature. It's something in my personality. But yeah, I feel a very strong. We're very involved in church now. My daughter and I serve at our local church, and my kids are involved. And our church is very much a community church. We serve the community, which is one thing I love about it. It's a big church, but we do local serve days. And I feel like the more that I give to other people, and the more I help other people, and the more I help serve the community and serve the church, that the more forgiveness I am I'm able to accept. Put it that way.
Is
That makes sense.
no. I'll tell you why it doesn't make sense. I'll tell you why. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense that that's what you're saying, but I'm telling you why it really doesn't make sense. When God offers forgiveness, us not fully accepting it and having to say, "I'm sorry" again, is really us saying to Him that your forgiveness might be good enough for you to offer, but not good enough for me to accept.
Wow.
And that's putting yourself in a place above Him. No man can tell God that His forgiveness is only 5 minutes long. And after that
Right.
5 minutes is up, I'm going to end up feeling guilty again, and I'm going to need to come to you again with this, when He's already said, like, did you not remember me saying it's in the sea of forgetfulness? It's gone. Why are you still holding on to it? A friend of mine we just connected. I've only met him, I've only been a friend for a year, but it felt like I've known him forever. He gave me one of the most amazing examples of the cross I have ever heard in my life. And it hasn't left me since. We seem to come to this conclusion that we come to the cross, and that's where we stay, at the foot of the cross. But He never asked us to stay there. Because we have to pass from this life to the next, and that doesn't happen at the foot. You can't climb on the cross either with stuff on. Okay? But we feel the need to get before the cross every day with these things that He told us He was done with and you're done with. And we come back constantly to the foot of we don't need to be at the foot of the cross. We're supposed to, technically, we've already been nailed to it. And so was our stuff. And we no longer carry it. So the example He gave me was like, consider the cross a doorway. And the only way to go through that doorway is without anything. It has enough room for you and you alone. Not your baggage, not your past, not your flaws, just you. If you find yourself regurgitating your flaws and your problems and your past, and you can't, and you have to keep forgiving yourself and keep asking Him for forgiveness, more than likely you're not through the cross. You have not anticipated and not have said, oh, I'm forgiven, I'm going through, and I've taken your passage. What we end up doing is telling God, I get that you forgive. I get it. That's good that you forgive. But this particular stuff I have here, I'm struggling with it. So as long as I'm struggling with it, you're going to have to forgive me.
Right.
It's a disservice to Him. But many of us as believers do it. And we don't take His forgiveness as a reality. I keep going back to Peter. When Peter did what he did, Peter could have easily kept that in his mind as I need to keep telling God I'm sorry. I need to. He never did that. In fact, Jesus told him, go, and when you have restored, come back. And he came back, and he never mentioned that again. In anything he said, he let it go because God told him, you're done with that.
Right.
If God told you, and you say you're done with something, why are you telling him anew that you're sorry for it?
Well, I think probably especially in the last year, I've learned I haven't done that as much. Put it that way. I've instead of asking God to forgive me for my past and for specific things in my past, now I'm just asking Him to help me be a better person every day. Help me be a little bit better tomorrow than I was yesterday, and um, I ask for forgiveness when I currently need it. But I haven't really been doing that so much lately.
Um, I have
I'm
one.
learning to let it go.
I have one suggestion for you to try. Just try. See if it doesn't work. Then it doesn't. Um, Instead of asking him to forgive, try thanking him for forgiving.
For forgiveness. Yeah, that's very true.
The
I
the
should do that
difference
more.
the difference that the same way that the transition of your father did something for you that you can't really explain.
Mhm.
Us understanding and stating to him something that's factual about him reinstates in us something factual about him to us.
Very true.
He is not in the business of forgiving sins. He forgave your sins already.
Right.
So when we come to him and say, I'm sorry, that's been nailed. That has been nailed. And if you truly believe it's been nailed and something occurs, you can instantly thank him for the forgiveness of that already.
Right.
A lot of us have this insane attraction as a badge, and I think it's almost like we wear like a badge of honor, but we don't want to claim it as that I can ask for forgiveness whenever I need to. And he simply didn't ask us to do it. He said to confess.
Right.
He never said after the point of salvation to keep asking for forgiveness.
Right.
Never once. Not anywhere did he list it. But we feel the need to keep doing that.
Right.
So if I made any suggestion to you about a process of
Thank Him.
thinking, just thank him for it because he's already done the work. Jesus doesn't die anew every day. He doesn't reenact it,
Right.
the crucifixion. Um, every day that we get up, it's a brand new day. Right? If it's a brand new day, then you're clean. But we keep going back into yesterday, and we keep going back into an hour ago, and he's not living there. He's living under the blood, and the blood is
Now.
the now. And the now is that I'm forgiven. The now is that I am forgiven, that I will be, I am.
Yeah.
Your children, current children, are going to bank on that for you because they are going to hope that whatever they do as children, they know they're going to be loved and forgiven by their mom.
Yeah.
Like peeing their bed. Let's take something that's trivial that occurs on an often basis.
Right.
They can pee their bed once, and mom will say, it's okay. I have you. I'll clean this up. They can pee the bed a second time and not have to worry about whether or not you'll clean it up.
Right.
They know what's going to happen.
Right.
That knowledge is how we should treat forgiveness
Mhm.
with God. He has already done. He's did it. You don't need to tell him, can you forgive me? Please forgive. It's like, why are you asking me for something already? Like, it's like your kid coming back and saying, can you go clean my bed? Knowing that you just finished cleaning your bed.
Right.
And it's like, what are you asking me to clean? The bed's clean. Yeah, but please, can you clean the bed? I peed the bed. I know you peed the bed. We are aware that you peed the bed.
Right.
And the bed is clean. Did you see the bed's clean? Yes, but can you please clean the bed? That's how it sounds to him. That's
Yeah.
basically what we're telling him. That it's not enough that you sat down, you've done it. I still have, because, for me, it's my cleansing point. It's not about us.
Right.
We need to
It's not
accept what he
about
did.
me.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
I get
Um,
it.
and I think that was what he needed you to to hear today is that while your life may be littered with all kinds of decisions that are bad by you and bad by others, and choices made and lives lived, the sacrifice he paid covered all of it already. And once you've accepted him, it is covered by, it's the best insurance plan you have. It's regressive and progressive at the same time. Brand new and old. And once you say that you know him, it's done. And when we live like that, we are less likely to transgress. It's an amazing thing. Once I'm aware of it, I am way more likely to live like it's true.
Absolutely.
But I do thank you for that story, because here's the thing: a lot of women and men do go through divorce like it's toilet paper, and they never get to the
Yep.
point where they realize that that's nonsense. And you have gotten to that point, but of course it's with the heartache of having done it.
Yep.
And so for people who have been in your shoes, they can see firsthand that there's a light at the end of it, but I also shouldn't be treating it the way I have been treating it.
That's correct.
And that is
There's light
that's a
at the end
blessing.
of the tunnel, but
Yeah.
you know, you shouldn't go into it lightly.
No,
Of course,
no.
you know, honestly, I don't think anybody ever really goes into marriage thinking this might end in divorce. I mean, I certainly didn't. I was so young, and you know, I had this fairy tale vision of what marriage would be like. And then with the second one, like it was so unexpected. Um, but this one, he stuck with me for life.
hmm Hang on a second. I need to address this question real quick. He said he will forgive us 70 times 7. He didn't say that. He was talking about, somebody said, how many times should I forgive my brother? And he said you should forgive him 70 times 7 indefinitely. The reason he said that is because the blood itself is covering you indefinitely. We want to put a limit on how many times we forgive our brother. God doesn't put a limit on how many times he forgives. It's a permanent forgiveness. But we have to be in that forgiveness for it to be permanent. You can't have the covering of the blood without being in the blood.
Right.
Okay, so understand that. You can't be forgiven without being forgiven. Not everyone on earth is forgiven right now because they have not entered into the covenant of the blood to be forgiven.
Right.
But this whole 70 times 7 was a question asked, how many times should I forgive my brother? And he said 70 times 7. And the guy was like, that's a lot. But that's not a lot compared to how many times God has forgiven you, because he's forgiven both your past and your future. All of it. Living in the forgiveness that God offers is not saying, oh, I never have to ask forgiveness. You live according to the forgiveness. I don't wound my partner intentionally because I know they'll forgive me. Because I know they're forgiving, I will not wound them.
Right.
There is a massive difference. But when you
That's a big
believe,
difference,
yeah, but when you believe that I'll just ask for forgiveness, I'll just ask for forgiveness, you're concerned about that relationship. But the love will eventually show up when you realize this person will forgive me regardless. He has forgiven me regardless. And if I know that, I will live in gratitude of that forgiveness. That's where
And
he wants us to live.
I think I'm more there now than I've ever been in my life. I've accepted his forgiveness more in the last year of my life than ever before. For the longest time, I just didn't think I was worthy. I didn't, you know, I had done so much. Felt so responsible. Felt responsible for, you know, my daughter's childhood without her father being actively involved. And it's just it's a big weight to carry. It's a big weight to carry, and it's harder to forgive yourself than it is for him to forgive you, for sure. With certain things. You know, I know
Which is
I
why he
was
doesn't ask me to forgive me.
right.
I don't need to
Um,
forgive me.
right.
What is forgiving myself going to do for me? Nothing. I can't save me.
No.
That's just going to make me feel like I'm God. I forgave myself. That's enough.
Right.
Forgiving myself won't do anything. I have to feel
I've
the
owned
guilt.
it. Put
Yeah,
it that way.
yeah.
I've
The
owned
guilt
it.
of me
I've
has to.
owned what I've.
My guilt has to take me to Him. I
Right.
have to realize it's me, and I'm the problem. I have to take me as a problem to Him. And once I've
Right.
fully taken my problem, me, to Him, and He said, "Welcome," and we have that connection of that relationship. From then on, I am covered by the blood. The blood says that my sins are forgiven, past, present, future. All. That's what all means. And when I live like that, I live new every day because I know He's forgiven me.
Right.
And because I'm in communication with Him all day, I don't do the things I used to because I know what He did for me. The cycle
Exactly.
is crazy how that works but it's where we have to get to in our mind to understand that we are not God. We don't need to forgive us because He forgave us.
Right.
That's His role. That's
Right.
not mine.
And it took me a long time to get to that point. It really did. It took me a long time to understand that I was already forgiven, and that it was me who needed to let it go because He had already let it go. But I think I'm there now, um, a lot closer than I used to be.
Yeah, yeah. But I really want to thank you for that and for still making the show happen today because I was kind of worried about my mess up with.
Man, I was so worried that it was me this morning. I was
No,
like,
it was
okay,
me.
it's at 4 o'clock.
I'm working on 30 different people's scheduling, and
Wow.
I wrote it all down, and then but it's when you're making the thumbnail and setting it up, you forget sometimes, and I did
Yeah.
forget. It was on me. That was me, guys. That was
Glad I
me.
didn't stand
Yeah.
you up.
But the good thing, and this is a God thing, he had somebody waiting that needed
That's
to get
awesome.
theirs also too. So it worked out. It worked out
Oh,
perfectly. So thank you again, and I wish you the absolute best of time with your new boys. You got the good age. You got the good age at 40 something. So thank you again.
thank you.
Tell your husband I said hello.
You're fading. I'm sorry. What did you say? I missed you. You said you wish me the best of
I
what?
wish you the
Couldn't
best
hear
of
you
everything
out.
with your boys, and they're growing
Oh,
and everything. And I do hope
thank you.
indeed that this last leg of your adventure in marriage is just that, and it lasts permanently because you've left it in the hands of God. That's all I'm hoping for.
Thank you,
So
man. I
thank you.
appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you in advance for their future, to your boys, for what you're going to do in their life and what impact they're going to have on earth. And thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks, guys.
I really appreciate all of you guys tuning in today. Thank you. Have a great week. Tomorrow we'll be back at, I don't know what time yet because I'm still solidifying that appointment. But we'll see you back tomorrow at some point. And remember, like I always say, wisdom calls to you from the street. Please, please, please find wisdom. Peace.